Hi folks, this is Kamal here. Welcome back to my channel. This is episode 2 of my series, my transition to Leica and the L mount. In the first episode, I spoke about the MC21 adapter, which is my first accessory that I purchased as part of my transition to the L mount. If you haven't seen that video, I'll add a link for it right here. And in this episode, what I'm going to do is going to be talking about primarily these two lenses. I've had the S1H camera body, and I've been testing these two lenses from Lumix as a potential candidate and one of these lenses could be a potential candidate for my first zoom lens for my SL2. I've decided not to go for the Leica lenses at this point in time due to budgetary reasons, but down the line I might get either Leica M lenses or I might pick up Leica SL prime lenses to add to my lens collection. But at the moment, since I already have a lot of high-speed EF prime lenses, Canon EF prime lenses, what I've decided is to use the MC21 adapter with my SL2 for photography and for shooting video, and to also have one single carry-on, one single zoom lens with a good zoom range, standard zoom range for my travel type of photography. I've decided that I will go with a Panasonic zoom lens. So I've been shooting with these two lenses for the last few days, which have been loaned to me from Panasonic India. So thanks to Panasonic India for that, and for Photo Trade for arranging that. Let me talk about the 24-105 lens first. So this is a Panasonic S lens. It's offered as a kit lens along with the S1, S1R and the S1H, but it's a pretty expensive kit lens. It costs just under ₹1,00,000 in India, which is substantial for a standard zoom range, and that too an f4 lens. So it needs to be fairly special to justify that price point. So I've been shooting with that and I've not been disappointed. But before I get into the image quality and things like that, let me talk about the lens itself, the physical dimensions. So the lens has a 77 mm filter thread diameter, which is good because a lot of my Canon L glass are also of 77 mm diameter. So I already have a lot of filters for those lenses which I can use for this lens. So that's a plus for me. And this lens is also optically stabilized. So it adds a few extra stops of image stabilization to the SL2 and the S1 series of cameras. So again, that's another plus. Whereas the 2470 f2.8 is not image stabilized. Just something to keep in mind. But the lens itself, as I told you, the price, it's just under 99,900, which is just about under ₹1,00,000. It weighs about 680 grams. And it feels fairly solid, even though it's made out of, can you hear that? It's actually made of hard composite plastic opposed to metal construction, which the Canon EF lenses and the Sigma art lenses are made of. So that's something to keep in mind. But even in spite of that, it feels fairly solid, doesn't give too much. Hood feels a little plasticky though. Lens cap, nothing great about it, but it does give you a sense of confidence. The weight, it feels substantial at 680 grams and feels well balanced on the S1 series cameras, including the S1H. Coming to the 2470 f2.8, it's at f2.8, so it is, and as you can see, it's a larger lens compared to the 24-105. It's substantially wider as well because it has an 82 mm filter thread diameter, and that's probably why it is able to gather the extra stop of light. One main difference that I noted was, apart from the fact that it does not have image stabilization built in, is the base section of the lens where it connects to the camera mount is made of metal, which is a plus, whereas the rest of the lens is plastic, composite plastic. So its build quality is a little superior to that, definitely superior to that of the 24-105. So it's going to wear better than this lens over a few years of use. But this is a heavy lens. It's a larger lens. It's a heavier lens. It weighs about 935 grams, so which is about 50% more than the 24-105. So that's another difference to be noted. And the price, it costs almost twice the cost of the 24-105 at ₹1,80,000 rupees. That's the street price. I mean, MRP is around ₹1,82,000 rupees. So it's an expensive lens, and for a 24-70. The Sigma Art lens, which is recently announced, comes in for just under ₹1,00,000 rupees for a 24-70 f2.8. So this lens is substantially more expensive. But I guess one of the reasons for the high cost is this lens is certified by Leica. So it comes with that additional tag and moniker, and I guess they get that certification because of the superior optics inside this lens. But only testing and shooting with this will really tell us which lens is better. So I've been shooting with these two lenses for a few days. So I'm going to take you through a few images right now, and let's look at these images from a point of sharpness, color rendition, contrast, and the bokeh. And then let's see which one performs better. So looking at these two images, left image is from the 24-70 f2.8 and the right is from 24-105. There isn't a huge lot of difference. In fact, there is very little difference in the way the two lenses render. If you look at the image on the left, which is from the 24-105 f4, at f4 the bokeh is pretty similar to the bokeh of the image on the right, which is from the 24-70 f2.8. Sharpness, from these two images you can look at the sharpness for yourself. The f4 is very sharp at f4, probably sharper than the 24-70 is at f2.8. I found the autofocus performance of both lenses to be pretty good and on par with each other. The bokeh from both lenses is pretty good. Of course, the 24-70 wins in this regard simply because it's an f2.8. But the moment you start zooming the 24-105 to up to 85mm and over, what I found is the bokeh starts matching the bokeh from the 24-70 at 70mm. Looking at these two images, I find again there's really not much to say between these two images, except that in fact I found the acutance on the 24-105 f4 to be slightly better than the 24-70. Color rendition is also pretty accurate from both the lenses and quite consistent. So if I had to choose, I couldn't choose between either of these because both are pretty good and accurate. So what do you guys think after seeing all these images? I believe from what I've seen of shooting with these lenses and checking out the images on the computer and zooming in on the images and looking at the performance, I found performance of both these lenses pretty good. The 24-70 is marginally better in terms of the smoothness of its rendition and the contrast as compared to the 24-105, but only marginally, and I'm talking about maybe 10% difference. Whereas the lens costs twice as much. And I didn't really miss the f2.8 maximum aperture while shooting with this lens, because even though it's an f4 lens, it's got optical illumination which makes up for the lack of that extra stop of light, and you're able to shoot at the same kind of ISOs that you can shoot at with this lens. It has a longer focal reach. So once I zoom into 85mm and over, the bokeh also kind of matches with this lens. So and color rendition and contrast, they're almost the same, and as a result I've decided to go with this lens, save myself some money, because this is going to really complement my fast primes which I already have from the Canon EF mount, which I will be adapting using the MC21 adapter. So the f2.8 is not critical for me, but your need might be different. So based on your need, test both the lenses, decide for yourself which lens is better for you, keeping in mind the weight and the differences in weight and cost. So you need to decide which is more important for you, whether it's that extra stop of light, or it's the extra zoom lens, zoom range, or the focal length, and decide for yourself. So I'm going to be using this lens as my everyday travel lens to pair with my Leica SL2. And also down the line, if I'm going to be shooting video with either the SL2 or probably something like the S1 or the S1H, I see this lens doing a lot of video duty. So there you have it, folks, my comparison video of these two lenses. Hope you found that interesting and useful and helped you to make a smooth transition to the L mount as well. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.